9mm subcompact semi-auto versus revolver test. And what I have today is our Winchester Ranger 1, a 147 grain bonded jacketed hollow point. So I'm interested in this ammunition. I've never tested the Winchester Ranger 1. Very interesting. It has kind of like a, I don't know, a leaf filter in there or something like that to prevent you know, the hollow point from getting clogged with denim and whatnot. Our rate of velocity is only 1,010 feet per second. That is a 147 grain, and this is a standard pressure here. So to test these, I'm going to use my Taurus G2C with a 3.2 inch barrel versus our Taurus 605 or 905, I should say. I'm used to my 605. 905 with the 2-inch barrel. You might say 3.2 inches is longer than 2 inches, but actually, if you take the size of these firearms and you compare them, they're very similar overall size. And actually, if you look at where the chamber is on these here, the back of the chamber, and that's counted in the barrel measurement, with the back of the cylinder here, where those cartridges are, you actually have a tad more barrel travel going on there, or cylinder and barrel travel in combination with the revolver. So we're going to see really if we get a lot of velocity loss in this through the cylinder gap, or if we get about the same because, you know, the barrel travel is about the same. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to hit my 10% clear ballistic test. I'm going to go into plain clear ballistics to get the best potential out of those cartridges. We'll go into plain gel, no denim in the way or anything like that to clog a hollow point or anything like that. And we'll see how they perform in plain 10% clear ballistics gel. Then after that, I'm going to do more of our real world simulation where I have 4 layers of denim on this first 3-inch piece that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, we'll have a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that's going to represent hitting our ribs and sternum, and that'll be more of our real world test. And then I am going to shoot at my steel target to see what kind of practical accuracy these guns will give me at that ammo. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up, we're going to run it through our Taurus G2C with a 3.2 inch barrel. It is rated at 1,010 feet per second. I don't think we're going to get that because it's probably through a 4-inch barrel they get that rating. But through a 3.2 inch barrel, let's see how this Ranger 1 does for us in the semi-auto. 1,033. 1,020. 1,018. 1,024. 1,007. So I'm pretty surprised because that's above our rate of velocity. If I had to guess, we're probably somewhere around 1,020, 1,030 feet per second. So we'll see if we get a significant amount of gas loss and power loss out of this. Another thing about semi-auto cartridges and revolvers is sometimes people worry a little bit about bullet creep, and if, you know, that bullet's going to creep out from recoil. So I put some marker all the way along the case mouth and bottom of that bullet there, and that should indicate on the 5th shot or the 4th shot if that 5th round is starting to pull out. So we'll take a look at that. So let's see what we get with our revolver here. 952, 900, 949, 961. We'll take a close-up look here. I don't see anything here, and I didn't expect anything because this is a bonded bullet, and generally law enforcement bonded bullets also have sealant to prevent that bullet from creeping out. So let's fire our last round here. 990. So not very consistent. And also we have quite a bit of velocity drop in the revolver probably through that cylinder gap. When I tested some full metal jackets, you know, there wasn't a huge difference, but there's a pretty big difference in this. So let's hit our ballistics gel block, see how these two guns compare with the same ammo, see if that velocity loss is enough to cause issues with performance through our revolver. All right, first up, let's hit that ballistics gel block going through our semi-auto. You know, this had a little bit above rate of velocity, so, you know, consider we're a little bit above rate of velocity, and that's what Winchester says the velocity should be. It should perform. So let's see what we get here. semi-auto. All right, let's hit that through the revolver. Let's go take a look. All right, I'm pretty surprised at what I'm seeing here. I thought for sure it was going to perform pretty well in the semi-auto because we had a little bit overrated velocity, but I thought for sure, you know, we're going to get expansion with the semi-auto, but when we hit it with the revolver, it's going to be way up here and it's not going to get expansion because we were losing quite a bit of velocity. You know, we're averaging mid to upper 900s, and it looks like it still performed. We lost that little bit of a filter grading thing that's in the hollow point that prevents denim from clogging. We lost that right here between the 3-inch piece and the rest of the gel block with our semi-auto. With the revolver, it pulled into about 5.5 inches here. So looking here at our energy dump, I'm really surprised here because our semi-auto on the bottom, revolver on top, there's not a huge difference going on there, even though there's quite a bit difference in velocity. So that really surprises me quite a bit. And what we got going on here with our semi-autos, we have really good expansion, really good channel there. We're at about 14.5 inches. When we look at through our revolver here, you know, the channel might be a little bit less damaged, but it's pretty darn close. And we're at, instead of 14.5, we're at about 14.75. So essentially the same thing going on. That really surprises me. Now, when we put our denim in the way, I'm not sure here, but you know, denim and MDF, even with special tips like that, can alter, you know, the speed and you know, everything else that would cause good expansion. So let's put the denim on, put on our rib simulation, see how they compare that way. All right, 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, 1/4 inch MDF. This is more of our real world simulation. Let's see how our semi-auto does. I'm going to go up and set that back up a little bit, and then we'll hit it with the revolver. All right, with our revolver here, let's see what I can do. See how this performs. Let's go take a look. All right, so here's our first 3-inch piece. Not a whole lot of energy dump going on in there. And here's our MDF here, and with our semi-auto shot on the bottom, we got a nice clean hole. With our revolver shot here, it looks like it started to tumble a little bit. So what we got here is really surprises me. You know, having that filter thing in that hollow point and all that that's supposed to defeat barriers and defeat getting clogged, it looks like it did not do its job whatsoever. So with the semi-auto shot here, what we got is a little bit of over penetration. We're at about 21.75 inches of penetration, obviously no expansion. With our revolver shot, we had some tumbling going on, so it did a lot more damage from that tumbling, and that slowed down its penetration. We got about 17.5 inches. Now it probably would have went more like to 18 to 19 inches if it didn't curve down, but you know, we're at a 17.5. So yeah, I would say neither of these are really ideal. You know, you don't want to count on tumbling as the effect that's going to work well. You want to have hollow point expansion if you got a hollow point. So it looks like, you know, through our semi-auto and through our revolver, these really didn't do that good. So, but we still got good penetration, so I'll give it that. So let's take a close-up look at these, and then I'll shoot my steel, see what kind of practical shootability I can get. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets here through our plain gel. The semi-auto pistol right here, good expansion, but kind of a weird expansion. Some of the pedals are pulled back weird, and I believe there's a busted off piece right there, and I actually found this busted off piece on top of the gel block. So obviously it busted while it was in mid-flight or something to that nature, because we didn't pass through any gel blocks. So very interesting that that kind of thing could happen. With our revolver here, a little bit more consistent, but I would say overall it's going to be a smaller diameter because this weird expansion here through the semi-auto made it bigger, I would believe. Now when we go through our MDF and denim, our semi-auto is right here, and our revolver one is right here. You know, there's ever so slight more pedals being pushed out just a tad more with our revolver shot, but with our semi-auto shot a little bit less, but essentially the same performance. So, you know, velocity didn't really play a big part in this, because even though we got quite a bit more velocity going through our Denim and MDF with our semi-auto with more velocity, it didn't really seem like it did anything better. So that's a close-up look at those bullets. All right, 12 yards from the target. We'll see if there's a difference in practical shootability. See if this slide moving makes it a lot easier for me to land shots on target. So semi-auto here. See what this does for me. All right, let's try the revolver. The point of impact is a little bit higher for me, and that's pretty typical with revolvers. So I would say both shoot about the same for me, to be honest. So both did pretty good. So let me back it up, and I'll shoot some from some distance, see how they continue to shoot for me. All right, 75 yards from the target. I always have a lot of fun doing this. You know, it's not practical. And the people that want to complain, well, this is the ammo I bought, and this is my video. So this is what I'm gonna do. So just for fun, I want to see if I can make any shots here at 75 yards. I'm not saying it's practical. I'm not saying this is defensive training. I just want to see if I can make any hits. So we'll try through a semi-auto. Theoretically, 147 grain bullets like this should be accurate, but I'll see if I can make any hits. I was hating when I missed that last shot there. So yeah, this seemed like they were pretty accurate through the semi-auto at that distance. Wasn't too hard to hit. Anytime I missed, I kind of like saw my front sight move. So obviously it's me. It's not some ammo anomaly. So I'll see what I can do here with our 9mm revolver. I'll try double action, see if I can make any hits. Slightly less velocity with these, but we might get a little bit of a muzzle jump effect going on that happens pretty much only in revolvers. So I'll just aim center mass. Yeah, we have a lot of bullet jump going on. I'm aiming exactly where I was with the semi-auto. The downrange camera never picks up right where they're impacting because of parallax, camera parallax, but you know, they're hitting about 6 feet high compared to the semi-auto. So let me go single action. Let me aim at the very base of the target, just barely touching the bottom of the steel. And again, we had about maybe 6 feet high still, so I'm gonna have to aim below the target. I'm gonna start with aiming about 3 feet low. Huh. So again, you know, this is some of those anomalies that, you know, a lot of people don't know about. It's a weird thing here going on, where it's not necessarily an issue with this particular gun or anything like that. It's that with the revolvers, a lot of times you get, especially slow rounds, you get a muzzle jump before the bullet leaves. So it really affects where that's going to land. So it becomes way more challenging. So let me aim below the target again. Let me do about 4 feet, 5 feet low. All right. So what I'm seeing here is it's not quite as consistent on top of having that kind of drop thing going on. So having a little bit of trouble here. So basically, my camera is a little bit to the right and a little bit low. I basically have to aim at my camera to actually get any impacts. So I'll try again, but I'll try a little bit harder this time. I'll go a little bit slower. So pretty wildly inconsistent, you know, and that becomes even greater multiplied when I don't have a specific point to aim at. I'm trying to like decide where on the dirt to hold a little bit low or a little bit right. And that last hit I made, I wasn't holding right at all. I was holding center. So it's kind of going all over the place here. And I wish the camera down there would pick up where they're going correctly, but it's impossible to, because to get the parallax right, you would have to put the camera as high as the target, which would mean you would shoot your camera every time. So I have to go below it like this. So everything it picks up, a lot of times it'll pick up stuff that looks like it's hitting below the target. It's actually hitting above the target, because the parallax will stretch, 12 feet of land and make it look like it's into a 3-foot area. It's really bizarre like that. But what we can see here is there are some issues with 9mm in a revolver that, a lot of people don't talk about. The biggest annoyance, though, is when people say, well, I got a revolver, but I got 9mm because I didn't want 38 special. With 9mm, you're going to have this much performance. But what we're seeing here is you get a lot of robbed performance, at least with this first ammo I've tested between the two. Things might be a little bit different when I get into more ammo testing with more 9mm rounds through the various, through semi-auto versus revolver. It might equal out a little bit, but considering this is not particularly powerful ammo, 147 grain, so you got a longer cylinder gap seal and all of that, I would say this does indicate that there's going to be some issues with the 9mm revolver being as good as a subcompact semi-auto pistol. So interesting performance overall. But what I can say here, when you look at our ballistics gel test here, both did great through the plain gel, and both the revolver and the semi-auto did terrible when we put that denim in the way. So being a law enforcement grade ammo, I'm going to say it did not perform really at all. And one might say, well, this is a subcompact pistol, it's going to perform better on a duty size gun. And it probably would. However, Winchester rated at 1010, and we got more than that with the 3.2-inch barrel. So at that rate of velocity, that's kind of a velocity that they're stating it's going to work at. And it didn't work. So that's really disappointing to see that. So Winchester 1, this stuff is super expensive too, and I am not seeing where that money's going. This just didn't look like it did well at all. So that's what you get today. Interesting results nonetheless. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.